one thing we quite often see is people making videos about 5 ways to avoid these landscape mistakes or some kind of video like that. And today I actually wanted to discuss about why making mistakes will actually help you avoid mistakes later on. And it's actually a really good thing for you to make mistakes in the beginning. It's a way for you to learn. By taking somebody else's tips on how to avoid mistakes doesn't necessarily work, and you have to make your own mistakes to find ways of creating the photos that you want to create them, because we all see things in a different way and you can't exactly learn from somebody else's mistakes. Sometimes yes, you can, like avoiding to not forget to take your memory card with, or taking extra batteries. Sometimes yes, that is a good thing to remember. You won't learn to make your images better if you don't make any mistakes. So let's just see what we can find, and I'll show you what kind of things I look out for, what kind of mistakes I tend to make, and how I actually want to fix them. So I've got somewhat of an interesting composition here. It's pretty cool. There's some fog in the background and the mountain in the background, and then you just got all these trees around with some snow on top. Obviously it's raining right now, so a lot of the snow is gonna be coming off of the trees soon. But yeah, it's still an interesting composition. See, I can easily take this photo and be happy with it and get a nice shot, but I'll get home and I'll look at it and I'll notice that there's just something about it that I should have changed. And right off the bat, I can see that there's this bit here of tree that actually looks really cool. What I would prefer to do is end up actually putting that tree more in the center of the frame and basically focusing more on that tree and not really getting so much detail of that background. I'll end up shooting this at f2.8 just so I kind of mainly focus on that tree and blur out that background, but it'll create this really nice effect with the colors and everything that are there at the moment. But I think if I just move myself that way a bit so I get that tree in the center, I think this will work out a lot better. So after a little bit of fine adjusting, I decided to end up going with a vertical shot here, just so I get that tree a little bit more centered and I can follow it a bit. And what it's also allowed me to do is get some of the ground in. I'm shooting at 70mm here. I'm using some of the other trees and stuff around it just so I get a little bit more of a something to lead you in towards that tree, and some of the things that are closer blur out a little bit, which just makes it a little bit more effective for you to focus in on that tree. And you're getting some of the background in and you get to see some of the mist and the fog in the background. So it is adding a nice little bit of depth here and good contrast to the image. So I think compared to what I was going to get, this is definitely gonna be a better photo. So yeah, let's at least check this one out. So sometimes you'll find yourself at a great location, just like I am at right now. You'll get an amazing photo, only to come home to look at the screen and go, oh crap, the image is blurry. And there can be multiple reasons for this. Sometimes it's just that you have a really unsturdy tripod, and it could be a gust of wind that just came through and shook your tripod, and that left you with a blurry image. And from the back of the camera, the image looked fine, and it was only when you got to the computer that you could see the difference. Sometimes it can be that your pressing of the shutter button could have shook your camera. So a good way to fix that is to put it on a 2-second or 10-second timer, just so that you stop that shake, or even have a shutter release cable. And that can often fix the problem. Other times it will help to turn off your stabilization on your lens if that has stabilization, because sometimes stabilization in a lens could actually affect the image even in a faster shutter speed. In other cases, having stabilization on can really help. So the best thing you can do is take multiple shots and see what the problem actually is, and then work it out from there. And like I said, sometimes the image on the back of the screen can actually look perfectly fine. So I suggest once you've taken the shot, you should always zoom in on the image you've taken and just check around everywhere just to make sure that everything's correct. And as I can see in this one, it is actually blurry, so I know I need to fix something, and that's just a good thing to check. Just make sure you do this, even if it looked good on the back of the camera in the first place. Make sure you zoom in just to double check everything, and then retake the shot so you don't go home with a bad shot. So making mistakes in photography isn't really a bad thing. It's something we all need to go through to be able to perfect our images and perfect the way we do things. And it's really good for you to do it often, because obviously once you've made a mistake and then you don't go out and take photos for like a month or two, you're probably going to make that mistake again because you haven't really been practicing. Most often we learn from our mistakes, and that's just how it is with pretty much anything in life. Just following certain tips, following how you want to take images, and just being aware of what you're doing and aware of how you're taking an image will really help in the long run. We all do things in different ways, so sometimes other people's tips might not help you because you have to learn your way of taking an image and seeing what mistakes you normally make and then correct it from there. And that's just how we have to do it. We all have to learn in a different way. Sure, it helps to listen to other people's tips like I'm giving you now, and those things can help you, yes. And sometimes we just get in this way of photos need to be taken a certain way, and the problem with that is that we all end up with very similar photos, everyone doing the same kind of thing, like a lot of people doing these crystal balls and having it out in front of your hand and taking the photo like that. There's too many of those kind of photos and not enough of people doing something a little bit more unique. And I think that's why going out, just taking photos, making mistakes and learning from those mistakes will really help you in the long run, because you'll end up with images that are yours and are a little bit more unique or completely unique because of the way you've made that image. I just thought that's something I could bring up in this episode today. I don't want to get too much into how many different mistakes you can make, because those are things that you need to learn and you'll find out along the way, especially if you're just starting out with photography. But one tip I can give you when there's this much snow, remember to have some snowshoes. I should have had them on today, but I completely forgot, and it's really hard getting through this. So little tips like that, I think we can all learn from, especially myself. But anyway, I'm gonna take another shot here that I've got right in front of me. I'm going for a little bit of a shallow photo here. I'm shooting f4 at 1/200th of a second. Quite a nice scene. There's a dead tree down here that I'm gonna take a photo of. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.